Crowds of people lining up at a police recruitment center have become the latest victims of a suicide bombing in Iraq. 25 people are now reported to have been killed. Police say the bomber detonated himself among recruits gathered near a checkpoint outside the center in the town of Fallujah, west of Baghdad. 50 other people were wounded. Police stations and recruiting posts have been a target of Sunni and Al-Qaeda fighters.
Around 65 kilometers away in Baghdad, the new security plan has now been underway for over 100 days. There's a new general, tens of thousands more troops on the streets, but more US soldiers are dying now than ever before than the plan began. In fact, the May toll was the highest since November 2004. 3,461 US soldiers have been killed since the war started in 2003. 122 of those soldiers died this month. That's over 3 times as many as the figure for May 2003, just after the invasion. That month, 37 were killed. In both 2004 and 2005, despite a peak in attacks on US soldiers, the death tolls remained stable. 80 troops died in May of each year. In 2006, the number of US soldiers killed was slightly down. 69 died in May that year. But since the security plan was implemented in February, it seems that the death toll is rising again. Iraq's correspondent Hoda Abdul Hamid explains.
As the thousands of US troops flagged for the Baghdad security plan began pouring on the streets of the capital, the number of casualties among US troops increased sharply. The new strategy was described as clear, hold and build, a dramatic change from the tactics used over the past few years, where US troops retreated to their fortified bases after brief incursions. Now, step 2 of the plan requires soldiers to stay in those same neighborhoods they presumably cleared of weapons and fighters, leaving them vulnerable to attacks by armed groups who proved that they retreated to only come back with more firepower. The US presence on the streets has also meant more casualties among Iraqi civilians. And while the Iraqi government is forbidding the media from covering the aftermath of attacks and is concealing the number of Iraqi deaths, the US is unable to do so. The number of American casualties has now become the one tangible sign that the security crackdown so far isn't producing any real changes on the ground. In fact, the Bush administration has given itself some leeway, stating that the first results to be felt by the residents of Baghdad will not be before the end of the summer. George Bush also warned his own people there will be more casualties among soldiers as the security plan unfolds. By the end of June, all the troops will be in place. However, with poor results so far, this latest increase in troops has made the war even more unpopular in the U.S.
I feel that it's a shame that a lot of innocent, soldiers are dying, and we should do something to bring them back home, and stop this war and look towards helping other people, that need the help.
There wasn't even a reason to go into the war to begin with. Bush lied to get us into the war.
May 2007 is the deadliest month for Americans since November 2004, when thousands of troops were involved in an all-out war against Fallujah. They had managed to clear the town, but the violence just spread elsewhere. This latest plan, many in Washington call it a last-ditch attempt, is at the moment slowly turning Baghdad into one big battlefield. The Bush administration is reportedly already looking into new options, a desperate search for success before the presidential campaign kicks off next fall. Hoda Abdul Hamid, Al Jazeera.